Pretty interesting question. How should we interact with artists on social media? As passionate as the fandom is, sometimes it's still hard to find the right word or moment to express our support without pressurizing people, especially when they are sharing personal stories or having a hard time.
Right. I have sort of a long arc of feeling about this. I think when I was first starting the show, and I'm pretty open about my own sort of struggles with mental health and really low self-esteem. A lot of people would say really amazing positive things to me, but a lot of the negative things would be very personal, and I was really in a position to only absorb those really negative comments. And I found that a lot of times the most amazing positive comments, it's like I couldn't believe them because of the state of mind I was in. And then partway through the show, especially when the Steven fandom was, there was just a lot of really extreme cyberbullying in the Steven fandom. I spoke to a bullying expert through Cartoon Network, a psychologist that they work with. And he started to talk to me about how bullying actually works. And I realized at that time, even in my late 20s, I really was not aware of the dynamics of bullying. And the main thing I wanted to know was sort of, if someone's being bullied, how do, like Steven in the show, in many cases, Steven is sort of being in a position where he's a victim of bullying. I was like, how does a victim of bullying respond? Like how do you win that situation? What do you do? And what this person told me was that the victim of bullying can't actually push back to the bully because that's the response that the bully wants, which is, I think, also why when you see a lot of explosive situations on the internet, when someone is being harassed and then they respond and they say, hey, I'm a person and this is actually really hurting me, and what you're saying isn't true, it doesn't make it stop, because that's actually exactly the response that the people who hope that they're doing harm want, because they find out that they're succeeding in doing harm. So this person was saying that the only way that it can work is if the general peer group, like in the case of a classroom, if the other students or a teacher see this happening and they go, hey, that's not true, that's really unfair, please you shouldn't treat someone like this. That's actually how you make it stop, the peer response, not the victim's response, but the peer response. And all of a sudden, I started to view the situation online really differently, which is that instead of only absorbing the negative things that were being said to me, I started to really notice how many people were coming out of the woodwork to say, hey, what you're saying isn't true. So when someone would say, like, Steven Universe goes off model because Rebecca is so lazy and incompetent, that would come up often. There would be people that would jump in and they would say, actually, Steven Universe is designed to go off model because that's something that Rebecca really cares about. And what I suddenly understood that was the actual response to bullying that diffuses the bullying situation. And my gratitude to those fans just expanded hugely. And sometimes it would be about the show. Sometimes it would be really personal things, like saying, like when I came out, people saying like, oh, she's with a man, so she's not really bisexual. Like the fact that someone would come in and say, that's not how that works. Actually, that's a really biphobic thing to say. Like, I have so much gratitude to those fans, because that is actually the way that you quell a bullying situation. So in terms of interacting online, I'm now sort of in a position where when people say kind things to me, I really deeply appreciate it. And if anyone says that this meant something to them, I am in a position to really internalize it and deeply appreciate it. And I also really appreciate it when, in the case where someone is saying something that's untrue about me personally or untrue about the show and the nature of the show, the fans that jump in and say, actually, I watched the show and that's not what the show actually says. Actually, I know how the show was made and that's not how the show was actually made. Actually, this was obviously done on purpose and it's not an accident because this team is incompetent. My gratitude to those fans is huge. And that is like in terms of the landscape of bullying and how it works, those are the people that are coming in to save me from a position where I'm being victimized. So my gratitude to them is huge. So thank you to everyone who's done this. And if you're in a position where people are attacking you or saying personal things about you or negative things about you, I hope that also you'll start to really notice when members of your peer group come to bat for you, because those aren't the outliers. That's the actual thing happening. The outliers are the untrue things being said about you, and the reality is that people don't buy into that, and they don't agree with that, and they know what's actually going on.